they said if we do this right, we can make enough money so that we can hire folks from the community and train them in retail merchandising. We'll find it in the economic mainstream. They said it takes about 2 years for all business startups, about 2 years for it to really be well. They were right. 18 months later, that moved into black. And has never looked back. Clothes closet becomes a thrift store. The human dynamic between giver and recipient changed overnight. No longer did we have to guard against those who taken too much. We needed them to buy more. We needed their dimes and dollars because now we had a light bill to pay. Now we had staff costs to cover. The dynamic between merchant and customer is totally different from the dynamic between giver and recipient. Folks realize we're needed. We're valued. Now the question is, how do you keep folks coming back? And it was just fun to watch our trainees start to figure that out. We got to keep the names of our customers that come in so that when they come in, we can say, hey, Miss Smith, how you doing? How's your mom doing? Because people like to go where everybody knows their name. And we've got to make this place more attractive. It kind of smells musty with us in the little hole. Well, you can't drive in the hole. They said, well, what do we do? One of the ladies said, we could have some coffee going again. That'd be good. And we can do some microwave cookies. That smells good. And so you come in the store and you're greeted with coffee and fresh cookie smell. That's pretty nice. Figured out that if they have their latest fashion arrivals, you come in, folks are attracted to that big for sale sign, all the garments sized, the hangers all hanging the right way. This is customer service. Because we value them as customers. Now they're getting a great bargain. Here's what we found. We found that folks would a whole lot rather be a customer than they would be somebody in church. The food pantry. My gosh, we struggled with that until one of our guys came up with, he said, well, yeah, try a food co-op. He said, folks will contribute $3 a week. And for that $3, we can, as a church, we can go down to the amount of food bank and we can buy for 12 cents a pound a lot of surplus commodity donated food. And for $3, we can get about $60 worth of groceries. Huge difference. And so he said, anybody interested in being a part of a food co-op? And there were a dozen folks that said, yeah, we'll try that out. They put their money in, we went over and got their food, brought it back, and they said, wow, this is great. And so they did it again, and that number quickly grew. And then somebody was dissatisfied because our guy going over the food bank wasn't bringing them the right food. And so he said, well, then why don't you elect a buyer from your grocery business? And so that was the first organizational step that group of former recipients, now members of a buying club, were part of. They said, yeah, let's get her. She would be better at that. And then was the question of who's going to keep track of the money? Who'll collect the money? Who'll stay? Who's paid? What do we do about credit? Should we extend credit to somebody that doesn't have their $3 this week? Well, it's their co-op. They have the only skin in the game. And so it's their risk. Do we trust that person? So there's accountability that starts becoming a part of that group. Then they say, well, let's elect the secretary and the treasurer. Now you've got an organization made up of the very folks that were standing in our free food line, who now are owners of a food co-op that is producing good economic results for them, and they have the ownership. And then they say, let's prepare some meals together on our food day. And they, the conversations started with one lady who baked remarkable sweet potato pies, and the discussion was about, Mabel's sweet potato pies. They said, "Why don't you bring some in?" And everybody raved about it. And then somebody said, "Well, I do fried chicken or something, some other delicacy." And so the group started fixing food for each other. And then they say, can we cook up some meals here in the church on our day? Well, yeah, that's good. Now, former food line recipients are sharing their culinary arts for each other, and they're building communities. Ask a blessing before we. Somebody has a need that somebody isn't able to get in. Now we're starting to do outreach. We got to carry the groceries out to them. Let's do a little bit of Bible study together, a little devotion. It sort of becomes church. Community transforms that one-way giving estrangement. It produces the kind of results that we really wanted to begin with, but could never quite get there when we were doing the dispensing. I wish I had time to tell you some of the outcomes of that co-op. We now have, the best optimal size for a co-op is 50 households. That's usually 4 to 5 people per household. We got 6 of those. That's a lot of things. Our free food line didn't stop that. They just started declining. And so we still have a little food in the church. Somebody's in a little bad shape. But that's not what the lines are. The waiting lists are to get into co-op. It's empowerment. That's finding a way to do our exchange that preserves dignity and enhances relationships and enables folks to take greater control over their own lives. Virgil, my neighbor, that said, "I hate it when them volunteers come." I said, "Virgil, do you wish we didn't have any volunteers coming down there?" He said, no. He said, they do a lot of good. But it would help if we invited them. And it would help if we kind of provided leadership for the projects that they're doing. And that those projects were our projects that we wanted to see done. That would help a lot. And so that changed our paradigm. We invite volunteers only to come in by invitation only. And that just works a lot better. It keeps the dynamics more even. He said it would be really nice if they wanted to listen to us. And so we typically, volunteer day, make sure we sit down over lunch and make sure that families in the community are sharing their stories and their lives. And successful, affluent Christians are amazed at the way that God seems to work among the poor. Amazed at that. Perception is kind of, it's the darkness of the Let's meet it in here. There's the light of the gospel. Well, and that's what motivated me. That's why I was drawn into this, to carry the light of the gospel. I saw myself as a missionary. Light of the gospel and darkness God. Only to realize that Jesus had already beaten each other. It didn't work